Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing a craft together. Very excited about it. We are going to be making these adorable DIY cactuses. They are cut out of wood on our laser. We're going to paint it, assemble it, all of that fun stuff together, and we're going to end up with a really cute cactus. There are actually 5 different designs. In this video, I'm doing design number 2. It's my favorite one. I just think it's super cute and really fun. But first, we're going to get into all of the supplies that you need to get started. First and foremost, you need the cactus craft. These are available on ohhelloco.com. I will link it below. It comes in this nice box with a little bit of instructions on the back, or you can just watch this video as you make your own. So I have my cactus. Then you need some paint, and I chose these 3 colors. I want it to be a little like rustic looking, a little older looking, so I thought these would be really fun. Then you can use wood glue or tacky glue. This is the glue I use on my other craft projects, so I thought, let's give this a go. I've done wood glue in the past, but I want to see how this works out. Then I have a little plate to put the glue on, as well as some crinkle paper to finish off the cactus, some rubber bands, and some toothpicks just in case, as well as a few different paintbrushes. You don't need anything fancy. Anything will do, even dollar store paintbrushes will do. It's mostly just to get the color onto the wood. And then I have my palette that I can put my paint on. I also have my chai tea latte. It's not required, but it's a good little pick-me-up to get you through the crafts. So I definitely recommend you familiarize yourself with the pieces before you start painting and getting started, so you know what is what. So I am just separating them out into their little categories. So we have the box that it goes in, the cactus flower. These are the 2 main pieces that slide together to make the cactus. And then these are all of the dimensional pieces. And this piece, super important. You don't have to paint it though. This is the piece that holds it all together. So once you familiarize yourself with the pieces, it's time to get painting. So I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to have the box be this burnt umber color. So I'm going to just remove everything else that I'm not painting right now, get that out of the way, so I can start working on the box. It's the thing I like to assemble first. So I find that if I paint it first, it dries faster, and then I can assemble it. So this is my really messy palette that I've used for tons of different crafts and projects. Alex actually cut it out on the laser and put my name on it, which was really sweet. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of paint. I feel like Bob Ross right now, and I'm not mad about it. So you can water down your paint if you want more of the wood to show through, and you can also use stain if that's something you're interested in. I think it looks really cool to use wood stain. I did a whole series of them where I painted them all with different types of stain and like colored them all in and used different ones, so it had different elements to it, and I think that looked really cool if you're going for a more natural looking craft or cactus, but it's also really fun to paint them in. So you technically don't have to paint the bottom, but I just enjoy the whole process so much that I paint everything, even stuff you probably won't see. Make sure you have a paper or something underneath your project, so while you're painting, if you get a little messy, like I definitely do, then you don't have to worry about getting your table dirty. Cardboard works, or a cut up like brown paper bag also works. I just have this like leftover paper from the dollar store that I use in the backgrounds of my photos, so I don't mind getting this one dirty. Maybe it means there's going to be more craft videos in the future. If I already got the dirty paper, might as well, right? So I'm making sure the coat is very thin. Like I said, you could use water and mix it with the paint to get an even thinner coat so you can kind of still see the wood. But the thinner you go, the faster it dries and the sooner you can assemble it. So as those pieces dry, I think I'll move on to the flower, and I'm going to coordinate, like mix it up, which colors the little pieces are. So I think I'm just going to put the rest of my paint out, the 3 colors that I'm going to be using. You don't need a lot of paint. I always give myself way too much and I don't use it. You don't need that much paint. I get a little excited about the whole process and just put out too much. So I think I want to make my cactus this flesh yellow color. Terrible name for a paint, but I think it'd be fun to have a slightly untraditional colored cactus. I've done green ones before, so I want to kind of mix it up. So I think the flower, I'm going to do a coordinating like every other green, brown, green. So I'm taking a smaller brush and putting the green on it because I don't have that much to fill. I'm just going to color in the flower. It actually has like cut lines on the side that faces up, so just pay attention to that to make sure you have the side that has the decorated cut lines is the one that you paint. I also find that I like to paint the sides of them. You can leave them the wood color, but I like the look of having like the full color on the pieces. So I'll be going through and painting the sides of all of my pieces. You can of course wear gloves if you don't want to get paint on your hands, but I feel like that's kind of part of the process. I like getting a little messy, you know? So I'm just going to bring back the brush that I used for the box and color this in. If you're only using a couple different colors, you can just have multiple brushes for those colors. Or if you're doing a bunch, you can rinse it off between. But I find that I change up my mind so quickly, and I just don't like the constant having to wash my brush off just to put the same color back on after like 2 minutes. So I just use different brushes. As those pieces are drying, we can move on to the big boys. Let's just get some things out of my way. Usually I'm just like spread out on the kitchen table and making like a huge mess. So it's interesting that I have like this frame I have to stay in, and I'm hopefully doing an all right job that you guys get the point. I really enjoy this kind of painting where there's like structure to it. I'm not a very good painter. I do not have the eye or the hand for like painting pictures on canvases. I am more of a fill in the lines kind of painter, or like paint this piece of wood a certain color, boom, now you have a cactus. That's my kind of painting. Technically, you don't have to paint all the way down on your cactus pieces. They are going to be inside the like box, but I like to go pretty close to the bottom just in case. And you know, it's more painting, which is more fun. You don't have to paint this little nub up here because that is where the flower will attach. And I honestly recommend not painting it because it'll be easier to glue it later when you don't have that extra paint up there, making it harder to push down the flower pieces. This is definitely a craft you can do with your kids. The assembly part gets a bit tricky depending on which of the cactus designs you choose. This one is one of the easiest of the cactuses to like put together and everything, but if you work with them and help them during that process, the rest is really fun and super easy to do. They just play with paint. You can even finger paint these if you wanted to, and then you can assemble them and have a whole family of cactuses. This is also a really forgiving craft, so if you mess up or you're having trouble gluing it together or whatever, there really isn't like a perfect way to do it. It's super easy just to like mush things together, throw some glue on it, hold it with some rubber bands, let it dry, and definitely if you use like tacky or wood glue, it dries clear. So if you get a little messy with that, it's okay. You can always paint these sections different colors or make them ombre. There's really no rules to what you want to paint them. If you want a fluorescent hot pink cactus, get it. Go to it. You can totally do that. So now that I've done the coat on all of the pieces, these first ones are dry. So now I can flip them over and paint the other side. For the edges, I'm just adding some more paint to my brush and then painting each of the little like spikes just by dabbing and like rubbing my brush in there. Nothing fancy. You can add a different color to these like pokey parts. That always looks really cool. Or you can just use the same color that you painted the rest of it in. Or you can even leave it the wood tone if you want. All right, we'll let all of the pieces completely dry and then we'll come back and assemble. Now it's time to assemble. So I'm going to take some of my tacky glue and just pour a little bit on the plate. I find it's easier to apply with a toothpick or a small brush than just like directly applying the glue. So now we have all of our base pieces. We're going to set this main one down and add some glue to the edges. Like I said before, you can actually be quite messy with your glue. You don't have to be super on it because a lot of this stuff won't be seen or it dries clear. Next, we're going to put one of the pieces down. It really doesn't matter because you painted both sides, which ones you put down first. But then as you go along, they connect, like they slide in together like this. So you want to add glue to the parts that touch each other. This tacky glue is actually a lot easier to use than wood glue, so definitely recommend this over the wood glue. So now that we have it assembled, I recommend putting a rubber band around it just to hold it together as it dries. If you want, you can paint these little bits that show when you put it together, but honestly, I kind of like the way that looks. So we're just gonna leave it like that. Next up, it's time to assemble the cactus. So we're gonna add some glue inside this little edge so that they stick together. It's not really necessary, they stick together pretty well already, but it's just an extra little added protection. And the two pieces just slide together. So now this is where the base comes in. So you want to do the side that has the like hue and the ombre looking colors, not this like plain wood side, this wood side. And you're going to put glue all over it. You can be a little more exact if you want, but I find just covering it in glue has the same effect. You won't see this piece. It'll be at the bottom of your pot. You will not even notice it. Then I'm also going to add some glue to the bottom section of this cactus piece. And then you put it into its holes. So now you're going to add all of your other pieces around it with glue. So put glue down at the bottom as well as up on the side little strip and then stick it in the hole. If you find that they're starting to fall, that's when you add your rubber band, but the longer you can go without adding the rubber band, the easier it is to put them in. I recommend going crazy on that bottom. With glue. So if you make a mess like I did with the glue, you can just go in and scrape it, but it will dry clear. Yeah, this tacky glue is holding super well, which is really nice, so I don't have to add the rubber band because then I have to like poke up around it and it gets really difficult. If you are using wood glue, I recommend letting it sit out on your plate for a while or as your paint is drying. That way it gets tackier and a little bit like stickier and dry, so it's easier to use. Let's add the rubber band now because some of them are starting to move a little bit. So you just kind of wrap it around the upper middle section. And then if you have a couple more you still need to do, you're gonna just tuck it up underneath the rubber band. Like so. You can also go from the top down, whatever works for you. So now we're going to take the tacky glue and just pour some directly into the bottom of the planter. Just a little bit. And then you're gonna stick the entire cactus base into the planter. Kind of mush it around, get that glue moving. Now on to the flower, which is probably my favorite part of the whole thing. It always looks so cute when you add the flower. So I'm gonna add glue just around this little nub. And you slide the first big flower piece onto it. Put a little bit of glue around it. Pull the next one. And the last one sits right on top. Now this is a good point to do any touch-ups. If you find that you want to maybe add some more paint to the top of it, this is a really good opportunity to just add a little paint to where you might have missed, or add some color to it. If you want to like splatter it with paint, you can do it now, or you wait until the thing is fully dry and you can remove the rubber bands and do it then as well. But I'm just gonna touch up some of the little spots on it. Now this next part I feel really completes the entire cactus. So I'm gonna take just like crinkle paper, but you can also just cut up like a brown paper bag and crinkle it up for this effect as well. So I have the end of my paintbrush and I'm just going to use it to push the paper down around the cactus. If you want to wait until it's fully dry, that's completely fine, but it's not gonna hurt it if you do it early. And with that, our DIY cactus is complete. You can do so many different variations of this craft. I just think it's so fun, super easy to do, a fun evening activity with the family or a weekend event, or you can have your girls over and do a little craft and wine night. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more craft videos, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.